Hello, I'm Frank McSheen with Square Peg Consulting at the Whiteboard. I'm a supply chain cash guide, and these are the components of the business-to-business supply chain as I see it. And there are opportunities to generate more cash in every part of this process. Let me show you what I mean. Hello. In this session, in moving from a cost focus to a cash generation focus, we're going to talk about a really important part of the planning process in our B2B supply chain. And that's preparing a budget for the upcoming period, whether it's a quarter or a year coming up. It's October as we're doing this video, so people are getting ready for the next year doing their budgeting. And so I want to give you some tips in terms of how to budget and what to look for in order to make sure we're going to generate the maximum amount of cash in our budget. So we're going to start with items coming out of our planning, particularly sales, costs, overhead. Okay, and then we're going to end up with a contribution level down here. And then there may be some corporate SG&A cost at the end before we get to our EBITDA, our earnings before interest, taxes, and depreciation. So the numbers are certainly important, right? So you want to know what's the sales. It's good to have some sort of history to look at, and then the new plan when you're looking at numbers. So if it's sales, what were the previous sales, either the previous year or over year, or a set of years going back 3 or 4 years maybe, to see what's the trend been, and then see what the new one looks like. Same with your costs, which generates some kind of a gross margin. So you want to see how does that compare to what we've been doing before. And rather than just looking at the numbers, what you really want to get to is what are the assumptions that your people are bringing to the budget, because this is the most important part of the budget. It's almost more important than the numbers themselves, is to understand what are the assumptions that are going to drive these numbers, going from some sort of sales numbers in history to the new sales numbers. What are the assumptions that are going to help drive those? Same thing with costs. What are we going to do in order to affect our costs going forward, and what are the assumptions behind that? And do those require changes, investments, alternate processes, whatever the case may be? Same with overhead. What's the head count and the investment we need in overhead going from history to here? Again, what are the assumptions that we need to know for each of these items here? That's the most important part, and this is where I recommend you spend most of your time in your budget discussions, is understanding the assumptions, because that's the chance you have to alter the approach and create a better budget, is change the assumptions. If people are just carrying forward old assumptions, which is often the case, that's the opportunity for you as leaders to impact the direction of the company and provide some new assumptions for people to use for their planning. And you'll end up with a much better number down here. That's the whole goal, is to increase that EBITDA, that cash generation, using the best set of assumptions we can work with to generate our plan. Thank you.